Where's my water? What do I do with my water, Zeb? Hey, kia ora. Helen Brahms here, coming to you live from Surprise in Arizona. Hope you're having a super fantastic, sparkling day. Welcome to Before the Dirt Nap podcast number 2077. Tonight's episode is Start Small, Go Big, How One Clue Can Unlock Generations. And my apologies for being on late. I just realized I didn't have my water in here, so hopefully we don't get a scratchy voice. My makeup's not too good tonight. Oh well. Here we are. We're here. We're good. Oh, I forgot this one had a strawberry. Oh well. Anyway, sorry, I'm a little discombobulated tonight. So, how does one small clue lead to big revelations? So, what we're looking at tonight is what are we doing today? Oh yeah, today we're going to talk about something that trips up almost every new researcher when you know, where do you even start? When you're starting to do genealogy, things can be very overwhelming, and we want to take the overwhelm away. So you don't need to have mountains of records or royal ancestors to begin. You just need one good starting place. And that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So why starting small is a power move. People feel overwhelmed because they try to look at the whole tree at once. They see all the work that other people have done. They've got these massive trees going on, and you're sort of like, oh. You don't need dozens of documents. You only need a name. You need one name, one date, one location. Small clues lead to big discoveries. We once worked with a woman who came to us with just a first name, Lillian, and a vague idea of where she'd lived somewhere in Ohio. And that's all we had. And from that, we uncovered 3 generations of her family, including a Civil War veteran and a midwife whose records were in a hidden church ledger. I tell you, you find records all over the place. You never know where things are going to lead you. So how do you go from having that one clue to making these big discoveries? And it all starts with, what do you know? It's as simple as that. Your family stories, photos, birth certificates, or even obituaries are gold mines. I would tell you this, I love a good written obituary. I love reading obituaries because from that, I can create, depending on how well the obituary is written, I can start a family tree and trace it. It is, just one of those things because they give you all the information. They go, here is, John Smith, who was the son of, and gives you the parents' names, and he was born on this date, he died on this date, and then from there you've got who he, if he was married, who he is survived by his loving wife of X number of years. So now you've got a general idea of when they got married. Here's the name, and then he's survived by his children and then it will list the children. And typically in obituaries, the children are listed in birth order. If they are married, there may be a name in parentheses that's next to them to show the spouse's name, or it could be that they might put Sue and John, and then they might have his name if they're married. If it's the son, he will be listed first with the wife's name afterwards. And they give you like all of the children and their name, the children and their first name and their name now. So if it's a woman and married and she's taken her husband's name, it will be listed there. Then it may list the grandchildren. Typically the grandchildren are listed in birth order, and typically in the order of the children listed above. They may not name the children, but there's a lot of information in there. And then if they've had a military record, that may be included in this. And now we can go check the military records. And, there's so much. I mean, obituaries, if they are well written, are gold mines. Even if they have just the basic information, they are gold mines. They give you a starting place. Photographs, you get family photographs. This one here, who's in the photograph? This is my grandparents. This is me in the middle when I was 17. This is my grandma and granddad. And this is when this is my dad's parents. So I know their names. I might just have this photograph to go from. And on the back will be written, as soon as I find my archival pencils, I will write on the back who was in the photograph, when it was taken, the 22nd of April, 1984, and where it was taken. It was taken in Auckland, New Zealand. Mount Wellington, to be more specific. And I even have the street address. But that house is no longer there. It's now apartments, I think, or townhouses or something. Yeah, my grandparents had a lot. There's a They had the house at the front of the property, and then there was a bit of land behind, and they've now, over the years, somebody bought that property and like took out the house and have put like 4 or 5 townhouses on there now. But anyway, so you could just starting with a photograph, and if you know who's in the photograph, you've got your start. A birth certificate, but start with your generation and work backwards. So start with what you know. Who are you? When were you born? Where were you born? Are you married? Are you not married? And just start with your information. Who is your mum and dad? When were they born? Where and when were they born? Where and when did they get married? If they are past, when and where did they pass? Always asking where and when. Just starting with your information that you know. Always verify everything, including known facts. Yeah, including known facts. Then when you start writing that stuff down, then talk to your older relatives and record those stories. My grandparents, all 4 of my grandparents are now gone. And the next level of generation that I have to talk to, the older generation I have to talk to, is my parents and their siblings. That's the next line of generation for me to go back and talk to the older people. Along with all of their first cousins as well. So that's the generation I have to work with right now. But they can tell me stories about their parents. They can tell me stories about my great aunt and uncles. They can tell me they can tell me the stories, and then I can take it with take their information and then go verify it and put it into the tree. One client once brought me their grandfather's army photo. Yeah, it was pretty cool. And we're able to trace the patch on his uniform, because it was one of those ones where they're kind of sitting on an angle like this, looking off over this way. And there was the patches on here, and we were able to trace through the patches that were on his jacket, on his uniform. We were able to cross-reference them with enlistment records and found where he was trained, leading us to his original immigration records, all from the patch on a sleeve. But not only that, because we found out his military records, what did they give us? His birth date, his parents' names, because he wasn't married at the time, so his parents were known as the next of kin, where they were living at the time that he enlisted. There's a whole bunch of information that the Army, or that not just the Army, but the military will ask when you enlist. Who are you? Where and when were you born? Do you have any spouses? Do you have, who's your next of kin? Is it a spouse? Is it a parent? It's all in there, including down to description. How tall are they? Their body build, what color are their eyes? What color are their hair? The military goes pretty deep. And then you can go find you can use like fold3.com and go and find their military records. It's pretty cool. And Fold3 actually has a lot of international military records as well. Within your own countries, you'll have places where you can go and research. If you're not here in the US, which is mainly what Fold3 is, but it does have records from people who served in different wars and different campaigns and things. They are from overseas. They can be in there. They can be in there as well. But also to go to your country and find out if they're held at the National Archive level, if there is a record place that you can go to where you can research and get more information, because Fold3 might just have a little bit, and you can actually go to the Department of Defense or whatever it is in your country and ask to see military records. I know in New Zealand, I can request once a year for free. Any of my relatives who have been in the military, I can go and request a copy of their service records. I'm kind of curious. When I get back, I might ask for my own. see what's in mine. I kind of know what's in mine because I have my little service book, but I'm curious to see what all the other stuff is that's in there. But and be prepared, because things can start rolling very fast, but stay focused. If you're working on your grandfather or your great-grandfather, stay focused on him. Take note of anything else that comes up when you're searching for anybody else in the family. Take a note of where you saw it, when you saw it, and where. And that way you can go back to it later. But right now you're concentrating on, it could be, your research question could be, where was my great-grandfather born? Instead of, who are all my ancestors? Who are all your ancestors? You don't want to be asking that question. But you do want to ask a very simple question like, where was my great-grandfather born? And go find that. Use timelines and checklists to keep your search nice and tidy and compact. And you can, even on the timelines, you can add in world events that may have impacted where he was or what he was doing as well, to see if there could be something in there that connected with him. If it was a world event, if it was a more local event, was it something that's local in his area? And resist as much as you can the temptation to go down rabbit holes like chasing a famous last name. Put that on your list to go back to later. Stay on one thing. And remember, you don't have to solve everything in one sitting. This is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Your marathon for finding that information could take you a couple of days. It could take you several weeks, months, years to find that one piece of information from that one question you have. What you will learn along the way, you will learn like how to analyze documents, recognize naming patterns, and work through contradictions. You may have people come up that have the same name. Is it the same person that you're looking for, or could it be two separate records, or could it be two completely different people? Same person, but two different records, or different records for different people. So you have to be able to learn how to go through that as well. Every clue builds your confidence. You're not just finding your roots, you're growing your research skills as you go. Genealogy is a part of history, part puzzle, and part detective work. Yeah. I don't have my magnifying glass. I need to get one of those round magnifying glasses, like detectives have. Maybe I'll get myself like a Sherlock Holmes hat or something. Definitely not the pipe piece. I'm not a pipe person. And looking at naming patterns as well. So the moment you figure out that Maggie in the census is actually Margaret, that's when you realize you've got this. Because you also got to look at how did they shorten down names as well. Maggie is for Margaret. You've even got Peggy, which could be a Margaret as well. I still don't understand that bit. If you've got a Harry, they may be called Henry, or Henry may be called Harry. And I'm like, they're the same number of letters. Why would Harry be a nickname for Henry? It's just those little details that kind of just puzzle you and make you go, huh? Yeah, even in the genealogy world, there's some stuff you're going to come across and it's going to be like, huh? I tell you, there are some things that amaze me. Oh, I need some water. You're going to have to wait. The ordinary is extraordinary. So you don't need to have a royal lineage to have a fascinating story. The midwives, the miners, the immigrants, the survivors, these are the real heart of history. Honor their lives by discovering and sharing their stories. One of our clients found out their great-grandmother was a laundry worker in a mining town who secretly kept a journal. That journal helped us trace their family back to Ireland, and the story became part of a school project for her granddaughter. How cool is that? Totally cool. Absolutely. And just remember, every ancestor you find plays a role in you being here today. Think about that. And I'm going to, I should have looked it up beforehand. Let's see if I can quickly find this. Go here, into here, down to genealogy, there. Yeah, because without your ancestors, no matter what they did, whether it was good, whether it was bad, whether it was indifferent or anything else, so I'm just trying to find a image over here. No matter what, you wouldn't be here without that particular person in your tree. And you've got a lot of people that had to come together for you to be here today. Let's see if I can find it in here. Nope. I'm going to have to see if I can find it. Somewhere I have a image that goes through the number of people for you to be here today. Just see, I should have looked it up beforehand. Okay, so going back 12 generations. In 12, hang on. Oh, that's 6 generations. So when you think about it, you have a lot of people. Actually, I need it to do the. Yeah, there it is. This will work. There are 32,767 people going back to your 12th great-grandparents that came together for you to be here today. This is a really cool one. It goes back miles. Well, somebody's really thought this one out. So going back, is that the number of generations? This is, yep, if you go back 40 generations, okay? If you go back 40 generations, there is a total cumulative balance of, hang on, 2,199,255,550 people that came together for you to be here today, and that's over 40 generations. And so everybody that you find, no matter what their role is within your tree, you would not be here without them. So think about that. You know, if they were a maid, great, that's awesome, because without them, you wouldn't exist. If they were a maid, if they were a maid and a servant or whatever, if they were royalty, yes, great, because without them, you wouldn't be here today. So think about that. When you're thinking about, oh, they were just a maid, they were a laundry, what was the one we had there? The laundry worker. It doesn't matter. They ended up in the poorhouse. It doesn't matter, because without them, you wouldn't be here today. So be grateful no matter what role they played in society, no matter what they did, you wouldn't be here if they weren't. Think about that. So you don't need to know everything. You just need to begin. Start small, stay curious, and be kind to yourself in the process. And our question for you this evening is, what is the smallest clue you've ever started with? Was it a photograph? Was it a name, a date, a story? What was it that prompted you to start your family tree with just that one small detail? If you've hit a wall or want someone to walk alongside you in your research, that's what we're here for. And because every family story deserves to be told, and sometimes it takes just one spark to bring it all to light. So that's what we're looking at tonight. Just start. So just start with yourself. You are the first person on the tree. Okay? You're the first person on the tree. Actually, that number was horrendously high, wasn't it? It just suddenly hit me. I was talking 2 trillion. No, that's after billion, right? Million, billion, trillion. Yeah, so 2 trillion. Wow, that was a big number. That's 40 generations. Yeah. Let's make it a little smaller. After 10 generations, with let's see, 10. Let's go to the 10th great-grandparents, which is 12 generations. That's 8,191 people involved in you being here today. And that takes you back to like the 1590s. To go 40 generations, you're going back to around 750 AD. Yeah. That's actually a pretty impressive table that's on that website. So just remember, there's a lot of people that have been involved over the years to bring you here, over the centuries, for you to exist. So why not pay homage to them? Go find out their stories. Go find out who they are. Just start with one thing. Who are you? When and where were you born? Who are your parents? And just go from there. What siblings do you have? Start with what you know. Write down everything you know. And then you can start putting it into a table, and then you can work on one thing only. Maybe it's you want to know who your grandparents were or your great-grandfather. There could be one of your 8 great-grandparents that you want to know. Because just remember, let's see, going up to you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 second great-grandparents, 32 third great-grandparents, it doubles with each generation, 64 fourth great-grandparents, 128 fifth great-grandparents, and 256 sixth great-grandparents. That's as far back as I've gone on that table. That's just back to the 6 great-grandparents. And if you add all of them up, that'll get, actually, I'll tell you what that number is. Hang on one moment, please. Let's see, 6 great-grandparents. That would be a total of 511 people, including you. Yeah. And that's only going back 8 generations. So, yeah, you are important. You are here for a reason because you play a role in somebody else's life in order for them to come into existence either now or later on. So with that, start small, go big. If you need any hints and tips on getting started, let us know. We're happy to help. And with that, we are out of here. Go out, have a super fantastic sparkling evening, and we'll catch you guys back here tomorrow evening at, I think I'm just double checking my calendar. It's a little crazy this week.